Okay, it's time to get cozy and then spooky. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am taking you through all of the books that are on my autumn TBR. For me, as an Irish person, the months of autumn are August, September and October because that's the calendar that we follow in Ireland. We follow the lunar Celtic calendar. So the next 3 months are going to be taken up with all of these books while everyone else seems to be still reading a little bit more summery. I'm not complaining though because I have got some pretty great books in this stack for you to see. First one up is The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. This is the second book in the Thursday Murder Club series, and I will admit that I do also have to re-listen to the Thursday Murder Club itself before I can even go on to this one. I haven't read the Thursday Murder Club itself in a really long time. I think it's been maybe 4 or 5 years by this stage even. But I know that this book is following the same 4 amateur detectives who all live in a really cozy retirement centre in the UK, going around solving murders that just happen in the town that they live in. I have been waiting for this one. Really, I have. Because my parents and I and my brother are all in a kind of little family book club where we all just send these books around to each other. So my dad has read this one, my brother has read this one, they both really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the Thursday Murder Club when I read it. I just need a little bit of a refresh as to who the characters were and what happened, and then I'm ready to go into The Man Who Died Twice. Next up is The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. This is the second book in a series, and I haven't actually read Mr. Wrong Number, which is the first one, but I think these can kind of be read out of order. They're more so a companion novel than they are a series of characters in the same books following each other. So I'm hoping that I'm not going to lose too much in this. This is about Hallie and Jack, who match with each other on a dating app, go out on a couple of dates, and then realize that they're not really the person for each other. So they decide instead to be each other's wing person, to go out, to set them up with some really great partners. But it turns out that true love might be a little bit closer than they were expecting it to be. I have heard some really great things about this book. I've heard some actually really great things about Lynn Painter's writing overall. So I'm really hoping that this one is going to work for me. I'm also not entirely sure what the Steam situation is in this book. It might be a really great break from the Steam that I have been going through for the last couple of reading months. So maybe let's see how we get on with this book. Next up is one that is definitely steamy, and I know this because my friend Brie from Four Paws in a Book has read this. This is Love at First Set by Jennifer Dugan. She explained this to me as chaotic bisexuals, and that was basically all that I needed to be into this book. This is about Lizzie and Cara. Lizzie is brought as a +1 to James's sister Cara's wedding, and accidentally ends up in getting the whole wedding called off. So, while Cara is kind of nursing her broken heart and putting her life back together, she decides to join Lizzie's gym, and sparks really start to fly between the two of them. I feel like this is going to be the perfect book to read in September, when the temperatures are starting to get a little bit cooler. I feel like this is the perfect time to read this one so that I can get a little bit warmer again. Next up is a book that nobody in the book community has shut up about since it started. And if I hold out for even one more second, I think I'm going to lose my mind. I am going to read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang by the end of October, and if I have not, somebody has got to come for me. I need to get this book read. I've heard so many amazing things about this book that I'm struggling to see why it's still on my TBR. This book is about Juniper and Athena. June and Athena are both writers. They write in the same kind of categories. They write in the same kind of genre. But Athena's writing is much more well received than June's has been. It sells a lot more. It's a lot more discussed. However, one night after a freak accident, Athena dies, and June finds a manuscript that Athena has been working on, finishes it off, and sells it off as her own. The problem is that Athena was Asian and had been writing a story about an Asian character, but June is white and is now trying to pass this story off as her own. There is a whole discussion in this book about plagiarism and about rights and about the publishing community and the publishing world as a whole. As somebody who's really interested in books and in how books are put together and knows a couple of people who are working in publishing, I cannot wait to read this. I really would love to see how the world of publishing works, looking at it from the outside in and finding out a little bit more about it. And I want to be one of those people who can finally talk about Yellowface. Next up is something a little bit out of my comfort zone, and that is All Our Hidden Gifts by Caroline O'Donoghue. I did just read The Rachel Incident by Caroline a couple of months ago, and I absolutely fell head over heels for it. But this is going to be a little bit of a different road to walk down here. The Rachel Incident is very much a contemporary novel, whereas this is much more a low fantasy. It is set in our world, but it does have some fantastical elements to it, such as witchery, such as tarot cards. And I'm really interested to see if I'm going to adjust to that when it's written by an author whose works I've already really loved. This book is set in a secondary school in Ireland with a group of 4 girls who find a set of tarot cards, try to tell their fortunes, and the cards say that one of the girls is going to go missing. They kind of brush it off as just a fluke, but the next day their friend actually has gone missing, so they have got to go down a whole path of trying to find her, trying to bring her back, trying to find out where she went in the first place. And I heard that there is a sapphic relationship in here as well that is so genuine and so wonderful. I cannot wait to see how this is going to go. If that was a little bit out of my comfort zone, this is a lot out of my comfort zone, because this is a lot higher fantasy than I've ever read before. But much like Yellowface, this is a book that everybody has been talking about. This is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry, and I have heard so many good things about this. I know that Victoria, from what Victoria read, like me, is not a big fantasy reader, isn't a huge high fantasy reader, but she read this and utterly fell in love with it. She even mentioned me in a video a couple of weeks ago saying that she felt like as soon as I held this up in a haul, she wanted to see what my reaction to it was. So I feel now like I have to read this just for Victoria. But also my friend Lily from Literary Lily picked this out of my TBR for me. And I feel like September, October, that kind of change of months, perfect time to read this. It's got a couple of mythical elements in here, in that the main character is an orc who is kind of leaving the world of hunting behind to go and set up a coffee shop. Now, I adore coffee shop books. I love coffee in general. So I feel like that kind of tie-in might make this a little bit easier for me to read. Those are all of the books that I have got on my autumn TBR for this year. Which one of those do you think that I should read first? Or which one of those are you most excited to see me talk about at the end of autumn? If you'd love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me a leaf emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.